Welcome, everybody, to today's podcast episode. I'd like to introduce you to Adrian Smude. Welcome to the call today. I'm very excited to have you, man. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate you having me here.
So I'm pulling up your website here. It's lifestyle-REI, right?
Yes, sir.
And so it looks like you have a couple programs. You are a mobile home expert. You've been in the game of real estate for over 20 years. Is that right? Like 2002?
Yeah, I was in real estate before I could legally drink.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, I want to dive into it a little bit. So it looks like you're a mobile home expert. You have some other kind of programs about, rentals as well, it seems. But I'm really curious, and the reason why I wanted to bring on the call, I've never really talked to someone who is an expert on mobile homes. So can you just break down why are you in mobile homes? And we'll go into the backstory. I do want to hear your backstory, and I have a bunch of questions about your business, everything like that. But just to kick it off, why mobile homes?
Well, because of what you just said is one reason I landed and stayed with a niche, mobile homes. Not many people understand them. Most people are scared of them. My personality is I like to be a little different, but I also found it's much easier if there's less competition. So I go where people aren't so much at. Most investors are scared of mobile homes. Then when they even understand them, they always don't go down to the old ones, like the 1960s and 1970s, those old scary trailers.
Is that like the one
Once I
in the
learned about
background
them,
behind you right now?
yeah, and this one came with most of its siding. It's a 1960s. I own this one. I bought two just like this. But that's part of it, is less competition. They're great ROI, or return on investment. They're recession resistant, and I'm able to help an asset class that there's not a lot of people out there helping.
Why is that? Why do people not? Because I'm personally, I've been wholesaling for a while. I'm in Delaware. Well, my market's in Delaware. I don't live there, but Southern Delaware has a lot of mobile homes. And I've tried, man. I've tried to wholesale them at least, and just no buyers are interested at all. The ones that are on land, yes, much easier. It's more of a land deal, really. But ones in parks, like there's no chance. So can you just break down maybe like how you work with mobile homes, the different types of mobile homes, the different ways you can invest in mobile homes? Because I'm flabbergasted by it. I can't seem to make mobile homes make any money for me, but I'm just a wholesaler. So,
Well, I mean, you hit it right. There's not a lot of people out there. And I have found a lot of them that are out there that do invest in them are quiet. They don't let themselves be known. I'm loud. That's one reason I'm always wearing yellow, bright shirts. And I like to tell people what I do. So there's three main ways to invest in mobile homes. Like you just said, only the home, which is in a park normally, you pay lot rent. The only thing you own is an aluminum box, and you sign a lease to pay someone every single month the lot rent to park the home there. I've done some of those. They're really, really good return on your investments, smaller dollars. I don't do that many of those anymore because the park manager makes all the rules and they have the control. So, but it's a great way to start. It's a great way to get in it. And it's just a really good return on your investment. I know very experienced investors that still keep a few handfuls of those in their portfolio. Then you can do the whole park where you own it all. You own all the land, all the homes in a flat apartment complex. Some people run those as parking lots where the person pays lot rent every single month. Those are really attractive because they have lots of big zeros on them. Big numbers, they're shiny, they make for good social media posts and big egos. I don't get into that world because I like to go where no one else is at. And that's that home land deal that you just mentioned, that you were able to wholesale some of those. It's a real estate transaction and it's a cash flow play more than anything else. Although I have a good friend, Mark Gracie, he fix and flips those and makes really big net profit checks, like bigger than the people's gross profit checks that I see, because it's a hidden niche.
very interesting. Very interesting. So can you break down kind of the scale of your business? Why should we listen to Adrian today? Like, what kind of experience do you have? I mean, how many mobile homes do you own? Break down the numbers for us.
Well, before the numbers, it's because I live off of my real estate investments. And for me, I learn from people that have the lifestyle I want. So my lifestyle is not Lamborghinis and big yachts and all that. I like to make friends with people that have those to experience it, but I like the freedom to be where I want, when I want, with who I want. I travel a lot. I'm always sightseeing. I have the freedom to be on here in the middle of the day. When I hang out with my nieces, I hang out with them in the middle of a work week. So it's the freedom to choose what I want to do. Now, the numbers that you're looking for, we take care of about 30 properties. Some of them are master leases, so I don't own them. I lease them for 40 years from the owner, and I have the right to sublet it out because that's how I solved their problem. I grew to the point where I have an operations manager. She's honestly now she takes care of everything behind the scenes. She started as just taking the phone calls. She does a lot of the work I don't love to do because I'm building it where I do the work I love and don't plan to do the behind the scenes. I love talking to people and doing that, helping people out. So she takes the work that I don't love doing, and she likes doing that stuff. So it's really building cash flow, not big chunks of money. It's predictable monthly income that is not going to consume us and make a ton of work.
Very interesting. Hence the lifestyle REI brand. It all makes sense now.
Yep, exactly.
I love that. I think, I think there's two types of people who get into real estate. There's people who maybe are like us, who do it for the financial freedom. They kind of have a number they try to hit. And once they hit it, like they're done, they're peace, they can just go live their life. And then there's people who just love the game of real estate and just like, no matter what they're making, they want to make more. And they just want to, buy skyscrapers at the end of the day in 50 years. Right. Would you say you're definitely more on the, hey, why'd you get in this business? Was it more for like the lifestyle? Do you really love the game, or is it a combination of both?
It is a combination. I got into it because I was a terrible tenant and I was being evicted. So when I say terrible tenant, I'm talking about spaghetti wrestling parties, mud wrestling parties, parking a motorcycle in the living room. I have the eviction notices for all of those and more. And I got tired, and my friends, of being evicted. So I bought a house and moved the same friends in, and I became the landlord. I lived for free because I split my mortgage up amongst my friends. And that's when I got hooked. I'm like, this is a pretty cool thing. So I started growing that. I was honestly a hobby landlord thinking I was the real deal for about 11 years. When I found the mobile home side, I started selling off my beautiful ranch corner lot rentals. They were appreciating. They had good debt on them. They were everything people look for. But my coach was asking, what do you really want? And what I really wanted at that moment in life was cash flow. So I looked for the highest yielding cash flow investment that I had found that I felt safe with. And I learned about mobile homes. I've shifted everything to mobile homes. I do get some appreciation and everything else, but at that time, all I wanted was cash flow. And that's what immediately got me out of the rat race.
Interesting. Okay. And you're in Florida, right? Are all your mobile homes in Florida?
Yep. I am in between Tampa and Orlando in a little town called Plant City. We are the winter strawberry capital of the world. And I keep everything within 30 minutes. And I picked the 30-minute rate because my mentors all kind of went down to a very small box at some point in their career. So I said, I'm going to start there. And then I was driving the properties. I was working on them. And when you have a 30-minute radius, if you're on one side and you need to go the other, that's really an hour. And that can get really tiring. So now I'm very happy. But also, I have enough properties, potential deals in my market to have a 30-minute window. I always like to use Wisconsin as an example because I got a bunch of friends up there. They can drive on a road for 30 minutes and only see 2 homes. Right. So they have to go larger.
It depends on the market, right? And some areas don't have any mobile homes at all. Like, I mean, people who live in Southern California, well, I mean, that's not a good example, but like New York City or New Jersey, I mean, there's not that many mobile homes going around, right?
You're right. And that's in those big cities, but you just get right outside the cities and the rural areas, they're there. A lot of times people don't see them because they're not looking for them.
True.
But yes, they're not in the big cities. And a lot of that's because the big city want tax dollars. And there's not a lot of property tax on an old mobile home on land because they want something that goes up and like physically up higher because they can charge more for taxes.
Interesting. Got it. So what I'm hearing is that, your motivation to get, into real estate and mobile homes was to have more spaghetti wrestling parties that you're in control of. I'm very curious what that is. I've never even heard. I mean, I can deduce what it is, but I want to hear a little bit about that. What kind of person does that or puts their motorcycle in their house? Are you just like is this like college? Are you like a crazy guy growing
Yeah,
up?
it was college time. So I wasn't the motorcycle guy. It was actually my good friend Charlie. But anyone, you and everyone else is up north that doesn't live in Florida is gonna think it's hilarious, the reasoning. Because in the winter in Florida, he thought it can get really cold and didn't want to deal with his motorcycle having to warm up in the mid 40s. So he literally parked it in the living room so he didn't have to have it warm up. And then the parties were because, well, we were young and dumb and spaghetti wrestling sounded fun. And they were like, all right, what about mud wrestling and then pudding wrestling? And you just keep going down the rabbit hole.
How much time does it take to clean up from a party? Like, I mean, it sounds fun, but the whole time I'd be thinking about, man, this is gonna take me 10 hours to clean up afterwards. Or did you outsource that? Did you have a, personal assistant come in or a cleaner to come in and take care of that for you with your cash flow?
That's actually one of the reasons our landlord hated us is we didn't clean up right away. We didn't know about this whole thing called mold. And because we didn't clean up, it started growing mold everywhere and he freaked out. And now I understand why he did. He was completely in the right. But yeah, when you have a bunch of guys, they don't really care to clean up that quick.
That is funny. I asked, I have like landlords on here and I ask them about their nightmare tenants. You are the nightmare tenant. Like you're the guy that they're talking about you.
Yeah, you do not rent to 20-year-old Adrian.
Oh man, that's funny. That's funny. Okay, so you're saying you own like 30 mobile home units right now, right? And are they all on land? Do you own the land too? You said some of them you're I get it's not, I don't know what the term is. It's kind of like subject to in a way, right? I guess you're leasing them and then subletting them and kind of sandwich leasing type of thing.
Yep, exactly. So those are the master leases. Everything we
Master
own
lease.
right now is we own the home and land or we're renting from someone that owns the home and land. We don't have any of those in park deals at this moment. What we've been doing to kind of go back to your other question of where I am on the spectrum, as I buy a nicer home that's less headache, more value, I've been selling off a lower quality, something like the one that's behind me for any of the people that are watching. The older, there's no value, it's headache. I still do own this one, but I've been selling those as I get a nicer one. So just trading up as I grow.
Makes sense. Okay, so you control 30 of them, right? And then how much, what is the like net cash flow on 30 mobile homes in the Plant City area of the country?
Oh, I don't know the full net on all that because I have so many businesses. And if you ask me in 6 months, my bookkeeper should have all that straight. This is for a lot of real estate investors. They already know we are terrible at bookkeeping. So
yeah,
no matter what niche you're in, I recommend getting a bookkeeper before you think you need one. So you don't end up having them back it all up. But I'll say my stuff is all over the board. I own stuff that's getting a 12% return, which my coach was a little upset with me. He's like, you get better returns than that. And then I have stuff up to 75% return. So I literally have all over the place. And return meaning a cash on cash, but I really look at all the money in it. How much is it giving me net cash flow? So I don't care if debt or not. I really look at the entire deal. If I bought it for cash, I do use debt. I use private money, friends and family, and a lot of owner financing. The one that is behind me, I like to use this one as an example a lot. He gave it to me with $1,000 down, $100 a month. No interest.
You're netting in your pocket?
No. That's my payment to him.
Oh, okay.
I have someone in there paying $720 a month. And I've put maybe $1,000 in the maintenance and repairs for the 4 years they've been in it. Now I put 13,000 in it from the beginning. So some quick math, we got $17,000 into this thing. And we've been netting, we'll say 450. We'll round down to 450. That's a pretty good return on our money.
Yeah, that's 17 grand in and you're getting 5 grand a year from it. At least that is like a 30% return. And that's only the first year. And then after that, it's just, that's really interesting. Is that like an average, is that like a banger deal or is that like an average mobile home kind of master lease deal?
So I'm at a different point in my career right now that I'm looking for less headaches. The older homes in the 1960s and 70s, they're old, and they're probably going to give you a little bit more headache because it's cheaper materials. So because of that, we should get a higher return. I demanded a higher return. I wouldn't buy at a 15% return, even a 20%. Remember, I'm down here in Hurricane Alley, so I also have that risk of the hurricanes. So back then, I was buying right around 30%. I mean, I wouldn't buy it less than that. Also, if I made a
30%
mistake,
on the dollar, you mean? Or your 30% return?
Sorry, 30% return.
Okay, got it.
And a lot of them I was buying, this is 2019-ish, when I did some really aggressive growing. And I was buying from 25 to 30,000 all in. Repairs, closing costs, and purchase price. I'm still able to find a few of those today. It's definitely not as much because the values have gone up. People think that mobile homes don't appreciate, but they do, because there's a value of cash flow to the investor, and there's value of a roof over your head to the person that lives there. So they don't go down to zero. And then there's that land value. Now, the other end of the spectrum is, I call it from the 1990s and up. So the newest I own is a 1999. That range of years are better structures. They actually have good bones to it. They can withstand hurricanes better. They're strapped down properly. There's more value there. There's less headache there. And normally they're on bigger and better plots of land, not like this one that's down a dirt road, off of a dirt road. The dirt's probably going to be worth the same amount when I die in 50 years.
Right.
So I'm getting some land value with it. Those I'm buying, like I said, as low as 12%, but not cash on cash because I use leverage safely. I use leverage. I'm getting about 26% return on my money.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. And you're not doing it for the appreciation, right? It's all cash flow based. I mean, if it appreciates, like a bonus, but you're not factoring that into, like, is that part of the risk of the deal? You're not like, oh, it's going to go up in value, so I can take on more risk. You don't do that.
you are completely right. I do not calculate appreciation whatsoever. But where I'm at today is I can buy some lotto tickets. So the one I described that I'm getting about 12% return, that's one of my lotto tickets. I'm getting a pretty good return on my money, and I'm making money every month, but it is in the path of progress. It's an acre of land. I think a builder will cash me out one day, but I'm not going to play only the builder is going to cash me out one day. I have to cash flow all the way through, or I don't buy it.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not a
good strategy.
speculator.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's educated guess. I mean, it's not a get. You're right. That's great. I don't have any critiques about that. That's awesome. Okay, so how much on average do you put in to get? I'm just thinking of, like, let's say Tim here wants to get started and I want to start buying mobile homes. How much money do I need to get started? And it sounds like there's really two transactions. There's the master lease strategy where your cash on cash probably better because they're kind of seller financing. And then there's just the straight buy and hold, right? Is that the two main types of that you do to acquire these or control these properties?
Yes. I mean, I will acquire it in any way I can solve the problem of the seller. So
what other ways besides that?
So we have that master lease. We have seller financing. So those are similar, but I don't get the title in the master lease.
Okay, got it.
I might only buy an option where I really don't even own it. I have one of those right now. I bought an option, and then I get to buy it from the owner in the future. And I already have those terms written up. So if it goes up in value, I get to benefit from that. And I can also decide not to buy it. But I really like to go to control. So I want to buy it in some way. So owner financing, private money, or my own cash are my three main ways to acquire.
How many of the, like, rough percentage, if you know, do you actually, like, own completely, or are they all, like, very
most of them
leverage? Oh, most of them you do own. They're not master leases.
Yeah, I have a few master leases, and the ones I do, I put a 40-year master lease. It's one of those things that enough education is good, but too much is not good. That I didn't know that was a long time. And one of my mentors I learned it from is David Tilney. He's one of the best at teaching that topic. And I just didn't realize that that's a long master lease. I took his course a few years later. It was the perfect scenario for these sellers because the title was so messed up. Like it literally fell out of closing because of it. I brought that up and they said, well, how long? And I just said 40 years because I can always come down. They said, okay. Well, when I went back and told David Tilney that, he's just like, I've never done one that long. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was a long time. So if I would have already learned that that's a long time, I would have never had the courage to ask that from the beginning. So, you know, there's a certain point, everyone's a little different, of over educating and taking action, and a little bit of naive can be good. But yes, back to your real question. Most of them we own and we have lower debt. I am not a full debt guy, and I'm not a zero debt. I like a balance. I like to have free and clear properties. I sleep well at night. Those are also, in my mind, almost like ATMs. I can go and borrow money against them very fast from friends if I needed some cash for an opportunity. And I just sleep pretty well with that. Because my second property ever was a short sale. I lost it as a short sale.
Mm-hmm.
And that pain and that memory and not being able to keep my obligations has made me very conservative. And people laugh at me because I say conservative and I'm standing in front of this mobile home, but it's the numbers. I'm very safe.
Right. And I think that's a good attitude to have. I think especially, you know, with the recession that we're in or looming, however you want to, you know, depending who you are. But yeah, are you worried like if the market completely crashes, are you done for? Or are you good to go? Like your equity is there, and then like what's the risk really for you for owning these properties?
It's like I told you to ask that question ahead of time. You're setting me up so perfect. Mobile homes generally are in the recession-proof category of affordable housing. Most of them are in affordable housing space, which means, like I word it just like you just did. If we're in a recession, when we're in a recession, whatever the definition is, most American households, 2 income, they're just getting by a few extra $100 a month. One of them loses their job. What's going to happen? They have to come down to rent level. That's going to continue happening until the affordable housing space. Around me, there's already not enough affordable housing. So textbook economics tells us less supply, we have even more demand, we can raise our rents. I'm not counting on that though. What I am counting on is I will have a larger applicant pool to pick from the very best applicants, to pay rent on time, to take care of my properties. And I'm not going to go without being able to pay my debts, my mortgages, feed myself, pay my office manager. I'm not going to compromise my integrity ever again. So I am very confident that I'm going to make it through a recession and actually thrive through a recession.
Okay, interesting. This is starting to make sense. It's starting to click for me. So do you own also like single family resident traditional houses, or just mobile homes?
Not anymore. I had slowly, as one would become vacant, I'd look at how much equity do I have and how much am I making a month net on that equity. So I would take my net monthly income and then divide that by my equity and see what my rate of return was. Because I got lucky with appreciation, I was making 5%, 6% return on my money. Oh, sorry, return on my equity. And I know that's not the way a lot of people think. They think, oh, I'll just pull that money out of it and refinance. I said, all right, if I'm making 5%, 6%, I'll sell this and then go buy mobile homes. So that's what I started doing over the last few years, doing that math, and it made sense to sell it and buy more mobile homes. And right now I have a few master leases on some site-built concrete structures, and we manage all those the same way. And I will buy some more one day, but I got to see close to the same numbers as I'm getting in mobile homes, or it doesn't make sense.
Do you think most people, obviously most investors don't do mobile homes, right? We established that in the beginning. Do you think it's because over the last 15 years, we've been in an up market, and so like people are going after kind of the golden goose property, single family, multifamily, whatever, and not I don't want to say the bottom of the barrel, but like the economy wise, like, these are the lowest tier income levels. Do you think that's why it's been not a hot topic or people doing it too much, because basically the general way the economy has gone? What are your thoughts on that?
Again, it's like I fed you these questions, which for the listeners, I really didn't.
He
But I
didn't. He
love
didn't.
because I love talking about this topic too. I joke around that people are finally coming down to my level because they just never wanted mobile homes. Most of my leads are referrals from other investors and realtors.
Yeah.
Now, in recent years, the other investors have started to be buying them. Part of it is I've made it popular and cool and okay and shown them that you can make a lot of money. That's a little bit of it. The other part is they can't find yield other places and they're starving for yield. So that's where my joke is, that they're coming down to my level, and then they buy one or two and they're hooked, like I was when I bought my first two. I was like, these are great. So the value of them has come up because the demand has been going into them because people can't find yield anywhere else.
Yeah, deals are hard to come by. Normal deals are hard to come by these days too. But what's the rub? If it was such like a no brainer? I don't buy it. There must be like reasons why people don't want to do it. Like, are they just like? I'll let you answer that question. What do you think? I have my own thoughts, but I want to hear what you have to say.
It's mindset. I mean, honestly, everyone has their own thing that they invest in that makes them sleep well at night. I will use my office manager as an example. She sees everything. She sees the bank accounts. She sees all the numbers. She manages all of it. And she still does not want to invest in mobile homes herself. She said she could do the normal single family. She has a very low risk tolerance. I, on the other hand, am okay with a risk tolerance if I get the return for it and I grow at the right speed. So I learned about them. I got educated. And then I'm like, all right, this one behind me, the one that's fallen apart, comes with most of its siding. I need a larger return on my investment on that because I have a higher risk.
Risk of what? What's the risk?
Oh, it's great. So what's the risk? There's no insurance on this. I mean, the insurance is pretty difficult. Technically, we can get some insurance, but I cannot get named storm coverage, meaning if there's a hurricane come through, no one's covering this one behind me.
It blows away, it's gone.
Yep. So I have to get a higher return because of that. There's no financing in the traditional realm. And a lot of people don't want to learn the creative financing world. And honestly, they haven't had to. We've been in a market where banks just threw money out there and no one needed to learn it. So they didn't have the skill set to go another route. So there's that. I mean, honestly, I think ego is a little bit of it.
Yeah.
That this is not pretty for a lot of people to stand in front and say they own it. I like being different and attracting attention. So this is cool for me to stand in front of. And bigger, you could grow faster. I'm putting air quotes on that. And yeah, if you do one really large deal, you're going to get more dollars per month than maybe 3, 4, 5, 10 of these. But how long does it take to get that? It's really what you're after is part of it.
Interesting. How much of a headache are they to run? Because that picture behind me sounds like a nightmare. And if I'm renting to 20-year-old Adrian, I'm like, man, no amount of money is worth how much of a pain in the ass this is.
So this is a massive topic, and it's one of my favorite. You mentioned that I have some courses on landlording. The very short part of that, and this does not matter if it's a mobile home, site built, and no matter what type of investment, is you got to find your avatar resident, the person that's going to live in the home that you want to live in the home. This is not breaking fair housing stuff. Mine is a blue collar handyman, handy woman. So my whole process is I look, what does that person want? And I go and buy it for them and then rent it. So I buy something that my avatar resident wants. Why did I come up with that avatar? Because they want to stay a long time. They take a lot of pride in their property, even if they're just renting it. They're not any type of ownership in it. And they, like I said, they stay a long time. They pay on time and they take care of it. That's what I want. I want a good neighbor, good communication, money every month, and not problems. So I went after the person that I felt, and I relate to them. A lot of landlords don't even want pigs, goats, rabbits, chickens, all those animals at their property. I grew up with animals, so I love animals. So I relate to that person, and now I say, yeah, bring them. So
Interesting.
it's finding that avatar. I'm getting long-winded on my answer here. It's finding
I'm
the
not gonna
avatar
cut you off.
and going after that type of property for them. We don't have a lot of turnover when we follow our process, and we don't have a lot of headaches and phone calls. We're there to help the people that live in our properties. But when you set up the rules and expectations from the beginning in any relationship, not just landlord tenant, things can go much better.
Okay, so I'm looking at your website here, and one of your programs, you have a mobile homes program, but you have the landlord program you mentioned. It's called full-time landlord, part-time work. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm under the assumption that it's probably a great program, and you had to build these systems out. But I'm guessing the reason you had to do that was because when you first got into it, it was a pain in the ass, and the tenants are like, this is like a nightmare. I need to figure out a solution. And then the solution was a system that you put in that program. So is that true? If you don't know what you're doing, can it be a nightmare to manage these properties?
For sure. And most of my nightmare time came in those 11 years as a hobby landlord that I wasn't not even in mobile homes. And a lot of it really came to, I didn't set the right expectations. I was a scared landlord that when it came to lease signing time, I pushed it over and said, sign here. I didn't want them to ask me questions because I didn't know the answers. I didn't know what was in my lease. Well, how can we expect someone to comply with our rules if we didn't talk about it? So we go through the whole lease up. It's an hour and a half just to talk about the lease. And that's part of our still process. We want people to understand what they're signing because this is a long-term relationship. And if you don't like it, and we have had people back out after giving a deposit, after going over the lease, because they realize they aren't going to get along with us and our rules.
Right.
We gave them their money back and we said, great.
Yeah. Gotcha. So can you give me like a good nightmare story? Like what's the worst when you didn't have these processes in place kind of situation that came up?
So I will give you the story of when I had the process in place and I didn't follow them. Literally at the lease signing, we're at McDonald's. I used to do them at McDonald's a lot. Now I do them on Zoom and record it, thanks to COVID. It helped me out. But the lady she didn't pay attention a lot. I couldn't control saying, hey, we're going to go through this in this order. She was all over the place. She's like, can I just sign it? She showed a lot of signs there. She was late. That's a big one. She was really late and I actually waited for her. So what did I really tell her subconsciously? It's okay to be late on your rent. I mean, I realized in the moment, man, this lady's going to be a pain. And she was. She didn't last long. She showed signs of being very messy. Well, the property ended up being very messy. She left me a mess with it. It's just these little things. So now all of that is in the process. If you are late, there's just no second chance. If it's a no call, no show, and I do that throughout my whole life in business, I give it 10 minutes. So let's say you wouldn't have signed on here and it was 15 minutes after, I wouldn't have been on here when you signed in. If you text me or something, life happens, and every once in a while there's a legit excuse. But I have a pretty big rule in that because now I just started that relationship saying it's okay to be late. So it's thinking through little things like that. And every time we do a lease up, we go back and analyze everything. What do we do right? What do we learn? What can we tweak? What can we make it easier and better for the person living there? Because a lot of landlords are like, move in, don't ever call me, or they just want to max out and get every little penny and squeeze the life out of the tenant resident. We want to set them up for success, that they're going to live there the rest of their life. And I tell them, Tim, I want you to move in and I want you to live there the rest of your life. And when you pass away, I want your kids to move in. And when they pass away, I want their kids to move in. And they usually chuckle and laugh, but I'm very serious on that. That's how long I want them to live there. And that's how much I want them to love the property. That's their home, not their rental, their home to live in and make their home.
I love that. And it'll make your life easier too. I know there's, there are benefits to you as well doing that. Like if you get a good tenant, you take care of them, they'll take care of you type of way. As with that lady situation, was there a time where I guess you're like looking at the property or something that happened where you're like, man, this is the worst tenant I've ever had?
Yeah, and then I was trying to get rid of her, and she's the sue happy mentality. So now I'm like, oh, if I get rid of her the wrong way, even if I'm in the right, is she gonna just try to sue me and I can win? But I don't want to go through that. I don't honestly remember how we got rid of her. We found a way that it was her idea to leave. We definitely became more difficult to work with, within our legal lease.
Right.
I will say that property, and there's a little bit of it, if you have a bad property, it's going to attract a bad tenant. And that's the area too. So Lenny Simodor, one of my mentors, says when you buy your home, you buy your tenant. So if we buy a good property in a good area, we're probably going to get a good tenant. So the opposite's true. Bad property, bad area, we're probably going to attract a bad tenant. That's not so much this one that's behind me, because that's what everyone's thinking right now. This is not in a bad area. It may look slummy. We definitely did some work to it, but it's not in a bad area where people have to live. It's in an area people want to live. And that's a big distinction for me.
Gotcha. So what is like the average net cash flow you're making on one of these properties? You think like $200 a month, $500 a month? I mean, I know it probably has a range, I'm guessing. What's the range, and what if you had to guess what the average is?
In today's market that I'm buying, I'll say bigger, nicer homes, anywhere from the $100,000 to $150,000 range, 1990s models on an acre of land. I'm netting $700 to $800 after debt, insurance, taxes, property management, everything. And we do manage our own, but I still calculate property management in there. Now, the older ones like this, they're going to get a little bit lower rent. I paid less. Those are going to be higher percentage, but lower dollars. Those are around $300, $400 a month, probably net. I have more of those free and clear than I have of the newer ones. And the benefit of those as well is rents have come up because I've owned those longer.
Right.
And the lower dollars have appreciated more in the rent.
Gotcha. But the reason you're going to the newer ones is because they're less of a headache, better tenants than the older ones. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's one of the reasons. And the other reason is that's what the market gave me. I started getting those leads more because more investors got into the older ones because they saw big cash flow. And I got less of those calls. And so then I bought some of the newer ones, still good returns. And I was like, yeah, I'm at a place where I can afford to buy some appreciation, guessing, because appreciation is always guessing, as we talked about, and buy some equity. And if I would have gotten those leads 3-4 years ago, I would have wholesaled them, honestly. I could have bought them and cash flowed them, but I needed big cash flow. So I would have wholesaled them off, made some money, and went and bought a cheaper, smaller one.
Oh, okay. So are there just less inventory of the smaller ones now? Is that what you're saying?
So I think everything's mindset related. I think there's always a good amount of deals in every type of market. I am probably looking less for these smaller, cheaper, older ones is probably why I'm not seeing them. So the same reason why a lot of people don't see mobile homes in general.
Got it.
I am buying one of the worst properties I've ever bought. I have it under contract now. It's one of the worst quality, terrible. It's not in the best of area, but the numbers work and it's going to be a fun deal. I'm helping the lady out. So they still come, but I am in general looking for less headaches, which are the more expensive, newer ones.
Gotcha. Okay. To me, okay, what if like 1,000-year hurricane came in and just destroyed the whole area? Would that destroy your business because there's no insurance on anything? Is that literally the biggest risk, is like weather or trees falling on your property or something?
So I do have some properties with hurricane coverage. And if that happened, I still have dirt there.
True.
So
You own the land.
I can sell some dirt for cash. I can put new or used homes on there. I could lease just the land to someone else and have them bring their own home on there. But yes, it would hurt my cash flow. It really would.
That's worst case scenario.
It's a possibility.
Right.
I mean, you are right. It is a possibility. If I was very concerned with it, I would have renter's insurance. I can't remember the exact term for it, but where if loss of rents, that's the name of it. I would have that policy so that if I did lose my property, the insurance would still pay me for X months. So for the person that is more concerned, there is that option. I'm just not concerned enough. I sleep really good at night with it. And we've had Hurricane Ian that was recently and Hurricane Irma, which was like 4 or 5 years ago. Both of them, literally their tracks went right over the center of my property area. One of them, no damage at all. Ian, we actually had a little more damage. We had a pine tree, which is a very big difference in an oak tree. For people that don't know trees, oak trees are super heavy and it would have destroyed the home. But pine trees aren't. It fell right on top of the home. It put a hole in it. New roof, all the repairs and everything was about $5,000.
Okay, so that's
a normal. That's a cheap roof on a single family home.
Gotcha. Okay, very interesting. Okay, so I want to broaden the scope a little bit. Your business. So you said you had, mobile homes are just one income stream. Can you break down like what other things? I mean, is it all real estate related? Obviously, you have your programs. What other ways are you making money these days?
So I do a tiny bit of private money lending. That is probably a little bit more strategic of friends that I want to work with. And as a diversification, I've put money in self-storage. They are good friends that I know, like, and trust. They have good processes. That gave me some diversification. I'm a very good niched investor. Could I go learn self-storage? Yeah, I could have. That's a lot of work. That takes away from life. So I just found people that will pay a good return. I put some money in their deals. So that's my way of diversifying. That's how I'll be in a mobile home park one day, is I'll put some money in someone's mobile home park that already has good processes. That's easy for me to vet because I understand the mobile home world. Yeah, I don't want to create the management to manage a 250 space park. That's a business. So that's really my way of diversifying, is by doing a little of that. I do a tiny bit of wholesaling. I am not a great wholesaler. I do a little bit of owner finance. I do a little bit of land. And then I do a little bit of bird dogging. And the difference to me in the bird dogging and the wholesaling is we get leads for mobile homes that have to be removed. So physically moved. They're not that mobile, but we do get those leads. I didn't want to get into that business because it's a lot of work in my eyes. I found a guy that I work with now in Florida. He does the whole state, and that's his business. He buys and sells them. We pre-qualify him. I send him the information. And if he buys it, a check shows up. I love it. We got about 15 minutes of work and a check shows up. It's the best dollar per minute in my business.
Yeah. I love that.
Those don't come all the time. I want to help the seller, and I want to do something with the lead as well.
Gotcha. Okay, so if I had to take a shot in the dark here, let's say on average, $600 mobile home door. You said you had 30, so that would be like somewhere between 15 and 20 grand a month, maybe, that you're netting in these properties. Does that sound like roughly the magnitude of what we're talking about here?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm trying to picture on visual some of our spreadsheets.
What how much work does it take for you? I know you have a operations girl now, but how much work do you currently spend in the business of your mobile home side of things per week, hours per week? And what do you do?
Let's say just if we weren't buying anymore and I wasn't in the education side, it would be very few hours per week. We've been working on the business a lot, creating mind maps and processes and automating our CRM. But besides that stuff, it's not a ton of hours. I don't want to quote a number because Jill takes care of a decent amount of that. We still are taking care of some hurricane insurance issues with some properties that we use insurance from the hurricane, which is a nightmare. But you're always going to have those one-offs, that you plan for the unexpected. And those are where some of the time, but I mean, let me just throw out a dozen hours a week on that. But that's not the reality of our business. We're looking to buy more. So the marketing and trying new marketing, getting calls and vetting the stuff, that takes time,
Right.
just like any business. Honestly, you probably, as a really good wholesaler, you probably have a better process for that than I do, because you can kind of use a spreadsheet and you're a good wholesaler. I look at every deal. How can I make this work and solve their problem and buy it at the same time? So I don't have a spreadsheet for the way I buy that someone can just plug in numbers. And then the education side, it's building a lot of that. That's new stuff. So it's kind of the buy and hold world is funding the new stuff. And because I'm an entrepreneur, I love it. And I love growing and finding new things. That'll probably happen for a long time.
Right. Yeah, I'm the same way, man. I'm the same way. I have a wholesaling business, but I have an agency. I'm trying to build a YouTube channel as well. I'm funneling my money into these new kind of projects that may or may not be profitable. They may be, hemorrhaging money for years and never make any money. But that's the fun part about it, right? That's
and
business.
People don't realize how much work a podcast is, even if you have the right team behind it. I get the fun part. I show up and talk and have fun. There's a lot of work on your side, and I thank you for doing it so I can show up and have fun. But there's a lot of work that you have to deal with.
Yeah. This is true. I enjoy it. I enjoy trying to pick apart my guests and try to get the nitty gritty out of them. So I appreciate you, coming on here and dealing with me. Okay. So let's say you're bringing in like 15 grand a month. Let's call it, what is that? 150 grand a year, roughly. But now you have this operations person, you have to share a salary, but I'm going to guess it's, let's say 70 grand or something like that. So then you kind of, takes about 50% away. So you're maybe netting 80 grand or so. And you could theoretically, if you stop buying, just basically take home a good full-time income with doing probably a dozen hours of work a week. Is that, and that's the lifestyle part of it. Is that kind of, am I understanding that right?
Yep. You're exactly right. And as I'm growing, I'm buying my time back. So we buy processes and pay for automation as we get some more money. That I think that's really the only way to buy time, is either humans or automation. If not, you're doing it all. So that's what we're doing as we grow, as we sell off that lower one and get a bigger one. We also then, all right, where's the biggest time suck that we don't enjoy doing? I would never outsource this because I absolutely love it, and you wouldn't want me outsourcing it. And there's parts of the business that Jill, my operations manager, loves, and she doesn't want to outsource. So we're consistently analyzing that. But yeah, if we just want to stop and not grow anymore and just sit on the beach and do absolutely nothing, which sounds cool for like a week to me, then yes, I'm good. Her and her family would be good. But I do want to talk a little bit about that. The lifestyle part of it is one reason Jill works for me, and she's had offers to get paid more than I pay her, because there's non-money parts of business that people get. For me, it's the helping other people. I love that. And the geographically free, so that's my term. Jill has unlimited vacation time, and she can do her job, I would say 95% of it from her phone. And she'll every once in a while say, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to be in South Carolina the end of this week. As long as the work gets done, and we built it that way so she can go visit a friend whenever she wants, and she doesn't have to ask for time off. Now, there's things that somebody physically has to go and check on the property when it's a rehab and put the lockbox on it. But we try to outsource as much of that for freedom. And she homeschooled her son for a few years. He is in a school now, but she has the freedom to do that, to go on field trips. She doesn't have to be the one to ask off. She gets to make that decision. That's very valuable to people.
Do you think she works 40 hours a week? What do you think she actually puts in, if you had to guess?
Right now it's over 40, and neither one of us are happy about it. That's one reason we're focused a lot of that. Her 2023 goal is to be under 30 hours. And that's when I brought her on salary, because she was hourly. She started out at 4 hours a week, and she grew into this position. I told her I do not want her working more than 40. If she is, we have a problem in the business and we need to talk about it on a regular basis. And she's a little bit of a perfectionist. So I'm like, at times, if you're going too perfect on things that don't need to be, you have to stop that. So that is her goal. And I am fully supportive that on average, she's under 30 hours a week.
Got it. You probably have to get a VA and just improve your process. I imagine something like that, right? You
We're
interviewing on our 4th round of VAs
tomorrow.
Gotcha. Got a good company, Rocket Station. I've used them before. Have you heard of them? Have you looked into them?
Yeah. So here's why I
Oh,
didn't go. Now,
you're gonna
almost
roast
looking
them.
back, I wish I would have. You have to have, they have to bring you through their process guide
Right.
creation, and that's about a month. But we already had pretty good process guides, and they won't use those.
Okay.
And that's
Got
one
it.
reason we didn't go with them. We went with a cheaper company that doesn't do that. And looking back, we might have done the wrong thing by going with
They kind of
Rocket
sucked.
Station. I have
Yeah.
friends that have been very happy with them. If I went back and hired a VA a long time ago, I would spend the money and not be so dang cheap and frugal. And I would have been further along than I am right now.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So I have some rapid fire questions I want to get to in a few minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. What would you say? I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on. You got the programs, you got the mobile home business. What percent of your income you think is from the mobile home business versus everything else you're doing? These are tough questions if you don't know, but like, 50%, 80%, 20%.
90.
Gotcha. Okay. What are your goals with your lifestyle REI brand and your program there? Do you want that to surpass? So you're trying to become the mobile home guru? Like, what's your goals with that? Or is it just, hey, you just want to help people and give back and you sell what you sell and that's it?
So I want my life to live off of the rentals. That's a very predictable, recession proof. And I feel like that needs to happen in order for me to be a genuine educator. I can't be living off my education money, teaching about
Yes.
something so that is very contradictory to me. But what is Lifestyle REI about? It's bringing sunshine, joy, happiness into people's lives. I love doing that. I mix in mindset in a lot of my stuff without people fully realizing it. It is teaching from my success, my failures. It's very important to me to pass on the knowledge I got from a lot of my mentors. That's a very big piece of it. And another part is I'm a platform for my friends that run successful real estate businesses that don't want to get in the education world because it is work, just like the podcasting. And I can tell them, hey, Mark, you have 3 hours on Saturday. Just come and teach. And they don't have to do anything else but show up. I have a lot of friends that will do that. And to me, it's getting more information out there faster and helping the masses of people. I love education. It fulfills me. It's helpful. It is a business, though. If I was making $1 million a month from the rental side, yeah, I wouldn't really, have to. But last year, the rentals funded my hobby of traveling around. I was April to October, traveled around the US, speaking and teaching all over the country. And I mean, honestly, it was a net loss of a year. Lots of fun. I would repeat it in a heartbeat. But a business side, you gotta, at least break even. And so that's why I had to raise price. And we value, as humans, we value it more if we pay a little bit more. And I found that was actually one of my problems. I was charging too little on some courses, which didn't have a lot of people buy. And that was a little bit of, I'm doing a lot of mindset with money right now. I even have a journal right here for
oh, cool.
Upgrading my mindset. And that didn't make sense to me at first. But then when I had very successful friends tell me that that's why they didn't buy, I was like, oh, really? They're like, yeah, I didn't think there was any value there. You weren't charging enough. So it's all over the board of different theories.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's getting more information out there. I mean, that's the bottom line of what Lifestyle REI is. It's helping people.
What's your goals with it though? Do you have any goals like, hey, I want to do 10K a month with it or 100K a month or can see where it goes? I mean, how aggressive are you trying to build that side of the business? I'm just curious for my own self, because I'm also, in the education space to some extent. I have a PPC course I came out with, so I'm like trying to understand from you what you want to do.
So I've been doing a lot in that world. That's where a lot of the attention, money has gone. I'm using Kajabi. I just upgraded to that.
Cool. Yeah.
We can talk offline if you're investigating those worlds, but what it does for the user is it's a way better experience. I was using WordPress. It was clunky. It didn't work right. I can then, from my side, I can view and look, oh, Tim hasn't logged in 4 weeks. And I can send you a little text or email saying, hey, how's the course going? And what you didn't realize is I actually looked and saw you haven't done anything with it. So I can help push people along. But yes, my goal is 40K nets, and I measure everything in
Per
net
month or per year?
for the year. But what that sounds like a lot of people. That's funding my whole life. I'm going to leave again, and my whole life is traveling right now. So that pays for all my travel expenses, my hotels, my gas. I'm looking at buying
Right.
one of those van style RVs and wrapping it. I'm actually, if I
Right.
do that, I'm going to put this on one side of it,
I like that.
and then bright yellow on the other.
That's meta.
But that funds my life. So if I can net a profit to live my personal vision, and then have all the other side of it, that's pretty amazing. I'm going on a cruise this weekend, and I'm one of the speaker and teachers on it. You know, we still have to pay for our cabin on the cruise, but I get the education part because I'm a speaker free.
Yeah.
But doing stuff like that, where I get to essentially get paid to go learn and
That's cool.
live my life and hang out with friends that in the real estate world, that's awesome. Now, when I have kids one day, that'll have to get dialed back, and
Of
you know,
course.
that's where the evergreen side of it, of getting recordings done, can give the evergreen. And also, so that I'm not willing to teach a full productive class that I put on more than about twice a year. And so I want to switch topics up so I can have lots of different topics, because there's tons of topics I'm passionate about.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, man. Life. I think a lot of people would kill to have that lifestyle. That's you're speaking my language, man. I appreciate it. So I'm gonna wrap it up with here some rapid fire questions. You mentioned that you did wholesaling. You did say you're not the best wholesaler in the world, but you know, I a lot of my audience are wholesalers. So I'm gonna ask you two different questions. One for like traditional houses, maybe one for mobile homes specifically. But if someone put a gun to your head and said you had to get a deal within 30 days, how would you do it?
Master lease. If I didn't have money, so I was assuming there I didn't have money. If I didn't have money, I would go and master lease something, because you can get into it for virtually nothing. I can rent it from you, as we talked about earlier, and then sublet it out to other people. I've gotten into those with $0, and I've gotten into those with a few $1,000s, and I'm getting half of the net rent for 40 years. So I think master leasing, liability wise of risk, and then also we don't know where we're at in the market. You know, right now is a kind of an uncertain times, even though people say that every year. But I believe it's more of that now. If I buy and I care about price right now, and we start going down, I don't have risk. I'm just a tenant. And the other reason master leasing is we are going, unfortunately, the government is not liking landlords as much as they used to. Well, now I'm a tenant. I'm not a landlord. So it puts a little bit of the government laws on my side. And I'm going to throw out again the name David Tilney. He's one of the best in that world. And Lindsay Jensen, one of my good friends, she is starting to take over some of that topic. But I can connect anyone with those two. I don't teach it because it's such a small piece of my business. I just think it's such a powerful tool.
How would you find that property to master lease? In 30 days, you had to find one. How would you do it?
I would go around asking people if I can rent their property. And that's actually what I'm starting to put on some of my offers, that I will buy it or rent it. I would also look for title companies and tell them if they have any closings fail because of the title work, that it just can't be cleared up or it's too expensive, to give me a call. I can help them out. I'd look for tired landlords you can go master lease, and you can also maybe go the owner finance route. But the tired landlords, so the eviction notice or the eviction court records, I would market to those. Door knocking. I'm a marketer, like networking, so I would just be telling everyone, social media, in person, I'm looking for long-term leases. I'm looking to rent your property. Why sell it when you can rent it?
So though, would you be, if you only had 30 days though, I mean, that I agree is probably a great strategy, but also unpredictable. So if someone said, hey, you got 30 days and you're done, are you would you put your life on the line to say, I guaranteed that strategy would get me a deal within 30 days? Or do you think there's a more guaranteed way to do it?
Well, I mean, if you put in the gun in I'm going to just go and talk to everyone and look for a problem to solve. So I wouldn't pigeonhole myself into just master leasing. I'm going to listen to your problem and then give back a solution that I believe will benefit you the best and that will also benefit me. So I would not use any one strategy. I would solve problems. And most importantly, I would ask questions and listen to the seller, not tell them what I'm going to do for them. I would ask questions and let them tell me. So thank you for asking that question, because that's really what I would be doing.
So you would talk to every homeowner that you could possibly find and just try to find as many problems as you could. And the odds are you'll find someone that you can solve somehow and make some type of money so that you don't get killed. Basically.
Exactly.
Got it.
I would go on seller appointments, and I'm guilty of this. So many of us just want to do it all from our desk and we're too lazy. Like, you're too far off on our number. They try to give offers over the phone. We do that to see if we're in ballpark. I would stop that. They called me, I would say, what time and day can I meet? I would get in houses and I would time block 3 hours for every appointment. And I would talk about everything in the world before talking about the price of it. I'd build as much rapport over the table, on the couch, talking about pictures, everything. And then when they want to bring up selling their property, I'd build that rapport with them.
I love that. A great answer. Thank you. I know these questions are a little oddball.
I like it.
Okay, a couple more rapid fire ones. I'm looking at I have them on my phone here, so I'm looking away. So what's the biggest? You don't have to. You can get. We can go quickly through these. If you have a long answer, that's fine too, but don't have to. What is the biggest challenge in your business right now?
The VA, probably. Because I'm building a business now versus a mom and pop shop, and I'm different. So when a VA company tries to hand me a VA, it's very systematic, and I want good company culture. I mean, I want to talk to them. I just don't want to just never talk to them and just shut up and do this work. I want them to have some say in it. So a little bit of that is I have to curve the way I manage if I want a VA. And then I need that right person that's going to give me feedback, not just, I'm not the best one at giving directions. So that's probably the bigger piece right now, is to get some of the time off of me, but most importantly off of Jill, my office manager.
Gotcha. What is the number one thing that you can attribute your success to?
Taking action. Being educated and taking action. Anytime I take action, good things happen. So last year, 2022's theme for me was massive imperfect action and then ask for help. Because if we're planning to take imperfect action, we are planning to fail. So John Maxwell's book, Failing Forward, I take a little action, I trip, I fall, I get back up, I ask someone that knows what they're doing for some help. I keep going, and that just keeps repeating over and over. That's one of the common things I've seen in very successful people. So that's what I mimic. And more I do that, the more success I have.
What do you think the market is going to look like in the next 12 months? If you had to speculate, what do you think is going to change, if anything?
I always answer this question with, I don't care, because I'm buying for cash flow. But you're not going to let me get away with that answer. I think I just got to have a mastermind group, and this was a half-day topic. And I came away with a different view than I used to. We have some very national trends showing we're going down. I've never really cared about that. I'm like, yeah, but that's not my market. That's not what I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. But what I came away with is, when that gets talked about over and over and over again, the media is great at hounding on one topic. It can come true everywhere, even if it wasn't going to, because we're talking about it, because the media is pushing it. And even if it doesn't, we should be a little safe if that's the trend going nationally. Right now, I have seen and believe it's very different in different markets, very different in different asset classes within markets. We're all over the place is why I'm hearing all different knowledge. Like, oh, we're still going up. Oh, we're going down. So to shorten the answer is, I will be a little more cautious, because I think we could be manifesting a decline. I don't think it's going to be anything huge, not like the last recession. I honestly think it would be healthy for the economy to have a little bit of a dip, so then we can go back up. So I'm being a little extra cautious. I am taking on more debt than I used to because of inflation. So that's a little bit of an inflation hedge. And I also want a little bit of cash for quicker action, to literally be able to close in a day or two, and then go and ask someone for some money, maybe to cash it out. But those are some changes I'm making right now for the shorter term market.
Gotcha. Awesome. What's the average time between when a lead comes in to when you actually close on the deal?
Whatever their time schedule is. I've literally closed in 5 days and I've closed in months. Whatever time works for you, I'm a problem solver. I don't know what the average is because a lot of times they push it back. You know, we had one that's supposed to close beginning of December and they pushed it to mid-January because of their life. I am 100% on your life.
Gotcha.
So it's up to you.
Gotcha.
I bought the non land deals, so the ones in parks. I bought one of those cash at the DMV 23 hours after I got the lead. I mean, I'll if the numbers make sense, I will buy it. It's your speed that I have to go on because that's how I'm solving your problem and adding value to your life is by going on your speed.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I mean, there is an average, but it sounds like that's not really the right question to be asking because the range is so wide. It could be a day because it depends on the situation, right? Got it.
And,
okay.
And my preferred title company, they really want 2 weeks, especially right now. Like, okay, they're almost not willing to do it. So I had to use a different title company. I actually started title work when I closed that one last year. I think it was 5 days. I started title work in multiple title companies because that's what needed to happen for them to close it. And I was not willing to take a risk because, 5 days, you can't have an oops and like, oh, I'm going to start over here. So I spent the extra money because I needed to solve a problem. Whoever could come up with a clear title first is the one I went with.
Gotcha. Love that. Awesome. Well, is there any other questions that you have or that you want to say or things I should have asked you that you want to say before we wrap it up here? The floor is yours.
And you have asked some awesome questions. I've been on tons of podcasts and you have made me think more than a lot of interviewers. So I do appreciate that. I just want to leave people with finding your niche and sticking with it. I always think of that. There's a meme out there of the guy with the packet, the pick axe. And there's one just about to break into the diamonds and the other guy turns around right before. You never know when you're right there. So why take that chance and get into some mindset work? I mean, Hal Elrod, the Miracle Morning, that is life-changing to me. I don't miss a day. I mean, I'm 5-6 years in. I may have missed a dozen days in 5 or 6 years. Mindset is more important than all of the real estate stuff. You can mimic real estate pretty easy if you have your mind right.
Dude, I love that. A great way to end it, man. Adrian, I appreciate you coming on here. And I hope to have you on again. I'm looking forward to see how your course plays out. And yeah, man, if the economy starts, burning down, I'm gonna be like, hey, man, mobile homes. It's time for me to start learning that. So thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for hopping on today and sharing some nuggets.
You're welcome, man. I appreciate you having me.
Thanks. Take it easy.